Okay, hi everyone. My name is Zehra, and today I'll be talking about politics. I want to start out by giving a definition of politics, and the definition is the activities of government concerning the political relations between countries, especially the debate or conflict among individuals or parties having or hoping to achieve power. So, my opponent, Clarissa's proposition was, social media has harmed the ability to have effective political discussions. I'm sorry. Her three supporting claims were, social media hurts the way that our current generations view politics. Her second was, social media has made it easier and quicker to disrespect our country. And third, large amounts of people are using social media, so opinions are constantly being exposed. Firstly, I'd like to go through it and say that she had stated this article, and just to remind you, it was an article written by CNN on CNN titled "The Danger of Twitter and Facebook Politics," written by Wesley Donahue, and it stated, "Secondly, it's one thing to see the sausage get made, it's another thing entirely to watch the pig get slaughtered. There's a domino effect when it comes to transparency. In policy making, lots of ideas are thrown out in order to set the good apart from the bad, in order to stake out a position for compromise." So this article that she had stated was not about political discussions at all. Rather, it is an article directed toward politicians and why they shouldn't use social media, because it's hurting them, and that because of the fact that social media is transparent. He even went on to state that, after all, do you think the Constitution would have ever been written if Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton had Twitter accounts? So basically, like, he was trying to state that politicians shouldn't have Twitter accounts or Facebook accounts. It wasn't specifically on effective political discussions and how social media has harmed it. She even went on to state that that our voter turnout in 2014 was 36.4%, which seems quite low, but it was a local election, and if she's talking about Trump memes and Ted Cruz sayings, then we should probably talk about presidential election in 2012, which was 58.2%. More than half of the voters voted, basically. Her second claim, which was social media has made it easier and quicker to disrespect our country, has nothing to do with political discussions, because we have our own opinions, and we could state that, oh, we don't like this country, or that's the whole main thing of politics, that we could state, like, we don't like it and stuff. There was an article by the University of Nottingham titled "Social Media Can Increase Youth's Political Interest," discussing the results of a research project that investigated the effect of social media on youth political interests. It states, participants showed some sophistication in their engagement with the information on social media, either by sharing it or being critical of it, discussing it or testing its validity. Discussing the information provided on social media can in itself increase interest in the issue. It also went on to state, our research clearly concluded that social media positively influences political interest due to the constant exposure to concise, accurate, global information, and use of social media has the potential to increase political interest. Her third claim was, large amounts of people are using social media, so opinions are constantly being exposed. And in actuality, social media has given us an outlet of freedom when compared to traditional media. By traditional media, I'm talking about newspapers and television and news that we don't get from these social media outlets. She went on to say that, when she said large amounts are using social media and their opinions are constantly exposed, it's not a bad thing. I mean, social media is a great place to express opinion because of the fact that traditional media does not let us voice our opinions. Traditional media is usually very biased, like, for example, Fox, which is known for being a Republican channel. Social media gives us access to information that is new and accurate. Thank you.
All right, structurally, everything is easy to follow. You preview what the supporting points were that the advocate presented, and then you signpost them as you get to those individual points. Your criticism on the first point of the CNN article and the way the advocate is using, I didn't quite understand the point that you were trying to make. You're suggesting that it's really addressed to politicians rather than to other kinds of users of social media, and I'm not clear on why that distinction matters, and I'm not even sure that the citations that you presented demonstrate that particular point. So even though you've engaged in the evidence that the advocate used here and you're trying to analyze it, your analysis there just wasn't very sharp to me. I didn't quite get the point that you were making with that criticism. I thought you did a better job a little bit later when you're arguing that the basis of comparison that she was using for social media having an influence on voting was an off-year election, and that when we go to the most recent presidential election that the participation rate is relatively high. I still think that we're looking at a singular example, and the notion that there's been an influence because of social media needs to probably look at either a trend over several elections or influence in particular races or comparisons there, and I don't get anything like that. So it's like, well, here's my example. Well, here's my example. I don't know exactly why I should trust yours a lot more than the one that the advocate presented there. On the second point, I thought that this is a place where you found some information on your own that directly contradicts the position the advocate's taking. It seems to suggest that based on the research that they did, that it has a positive net benefit. I do think that there's from the description of the research that's being presented, it sounded to me like they've made some big inferential leaps about, it means that the users are critical thinkers if they shared, if they criticized, if they spoke and talked about those kinds of issues. That I might think that was the case if I could see the things that they shared and criticized were in fact something more than calling people names online. I don't know what the research said. I'd be interested in seeing that in a little bit more in depth. However, if we're going to trust the scholars in this particular situation, you at least have a good point that contradicts that position, and I thought that was pretty effective. And then I thought that you had a good argument here on the notion that it offers a alternative to traditional media. So you've got a counterclaim on the third point, but your main example is the issue of Fox. I'm not sure that gets you very far. I think there are plenty of other ways to show how social media, for instance, have broken a variety of stories that traditional media have ignored over time. That social media has incentivized people's participation in the political process rather than desensitizing to them, which is what traditional media might be doing, that kind of thing. So I think you've got the good argument here. I just don't think that your proof on it is as strong as it needs to be. And I'm not sure that it automatically contradicts the position that the advocate is taking. You maybe have to explain that a little bit more, but I thought you did a very good job kind of presenting the idea on that point. All right, thank you.